Thank you. Beautiful presentation. Thank you for sharing all the amazing information about the mini. I'm super psyched myself about the mini to come out. I've been waiting for it for a few years now with having conversations. And yes, that's going to be a big game changer for all of us when the mini comes out because it's going to give us a completely, different functionality as dear Dimitri was mentioning to us. First of all, I want to take a moment. I want to thank Dimitri Orlov for putting all of this event together. I know it's a lot of work doing the events together myself, and I know it's a lot of headaches. So thank you so much, Dimitri, for taking the time and bringing us all together to share knowledge. And of course, a special thanks to our dear Professor Konstantin Korotkov for the amazing world that he's created for us to be able to enjoy, this realm and these experiments and be able to bring more insights to humanity. So today I have a very beautiful and a special message that's very dear to me. I've been working extremely hard for the last 5 years to work on my doctorate in natural medicine. And I have finally finished my doctorate, and I just published and put my PhD dissertation to the university. And in October, I'll be walking and attaining my degree as a doctor of natural medicine. And the information that I used for my dissertation, thank you guys, appreciate you. The information that I used for my dissertation kind of concluded from all of the research, all of the travels that I've been doing with my dear Dr. Krotkov and, travels that I've been doing myself and a lot of other research that I have been involved to. Thank you so much, Deepak. From different case studies in our community and getting involved with, the different areas of research. So I'm going to speak a little bit about my dissertation and the research that we did and the powerful information that we're sharing with humanity. So just to share my screen, get a glimpse of the abstract of what I'm working on. The title is the influence of sacred sites and remote intention on human biofield, a global investigation. So the abstract of the dissertation presents a global research study on the measurable effect of sacred environments and remote healing intention on the human biofield. Using advanced gas discharge visualization, GDV technology, specifically the viable device and a Sputnik sensor, the research explored energy field changes across ancient energetic sites, including Machu Picchu, Chichen Itza, the pyramids of Giza, Rapa Nui, Stonehenge, and the birthing stones in Hawaii. Additional experiments focused on remote heating and surrogate scanning conducted in collaboration with Lynn McTaggart and Quantum University. So this was one of the most amazing research that I could possibly imagine doing it in my lifetime of, traveling our beautiful planet and getting insight from different areas and how they influence our biofield, our energy field. And, that was truly a fascinating research to me. That once we went to Chichen Itza, it was uh, it was so eye-opening an experience that once we went there, you can see that when people go and they stand in front of the pyramid, and when they clap in front of the pyramid, you see that the sound of their clap will echo in this huge arena. That back then there was no really technology or nothing like that for people to be able to create these kind of powerful structures. But what we experienced was like the way that they have built this pyramid, and with all the research that Dr. Korotkov shares with us about how the influence of energy outside of the pyramids is so much more greater than the influence of the energy within the pyramids. And for any layperson just traveling to Chichen Itza and just clapping in front of that pyramid, that in a very beautiful way will showcase that of how the energy will get amplified and it will get directed to the vicinity of that sacred geometry. So that was a very, very powerful eye-opening experience. We did research there with the Sputnik. We measured the energy and the area deviation at the hotel area that we were staying at, and then we measured it again once we traveled to the sacred site of Chichen Itza. And the information, if I want to go over all the graphs and everything, we'll be here for days. But the information that I was able to discover from there was that there was a lot more energy um, within the perimeters of the pyramids. And this is, in resonance with all the research that a lot of us have done around sacred sites that, we have seen that amplification of energy. So that was a really amazing experience there at Chichen Itza. Machu Picchu was a very, very powerful experience for me as well because when I was going to Machu Picchu, I had this question that I wanted to understand the how altitude had and would have an effect on the energy and on the coherence on environments because we hear a lot of Tibetan monks that in altitudes that they reach very high levels and they are able to tap into specific frequencies and be able to even have out of body experiences and travels. So what I wanted to understand was, and we've heard it all in a lot of religious stories that how like different prophets would go to a mountain and on the mountain it was somewhere that they would have this communication or connection that they would be able to receive information. And talking to Dr. Kratkov and his extensive research with mountain climbing, that when I talk to him, he always tells me that when he gets to specific altitudes, then it's like he's having a conversation with the universe that's like all this information, all the photons kind of like gathering at a specific altitudes that, different people, when they travel to these areas, then the energy of the environment will have a direct influence on their psychology and on their perception on their reality. So what I wanted to really understand is that can we showcase that? If, for example, go to Machu Picchu and, at the bottom of Machu Picchu, there's a river and usually we see that around bodies of water that there's more like lower altitudes. Not in all cases, but in most cases. So what we studied there was that once we took the measurement at the bottom of the mountain, then the energy was so much lower than once we measured the energy on top of the mountain. But the area deviation, which was interesting, was that even the energy was higher, and the area deviation was still maintaining a very steady reading while we have the area had increased. We had the intensity of the photons that had increased, but still we saw a very coherent signal. And one thing that was really interesting there, I actually had a conversation with Dimitri when I was up in the altitudes because I was trying to calibrate my device and I was just getting a bunch of like erratic signs that was happening. But then we came out with a way to be able to actually calibrate and do the research there. And it was very hectic to do the research there. 'Cause, I thought it's going to be just an open area that you go and we can just explore. But when we went there, it was filled with guards. I mean, every little spot, there was a guard that they were like watching everybody. Like you wouldn't get allowed to get even close to the edge of the mountain that had the view of Machu Picchu. So it was a very interesting experience. I had to go and buy one of these clothings of people that were in Peru. They have this like overall cloak that it has like a hat and then it goes like up around your entire body, so they can't really see your body. So I had my backpack on, I had the cloak on, and every different area that I would get to, I would bring the laptop out. I had the Sputnik situated in the backpack on the top of my head. And I would put the cloak on top of my head and I would sit there, I was taking measurements. Now, my luck, as soon as I get to this one spot, it starts raining. And I had the Sputnik that was like visible. So I get like rain hitting the Sputnik and I'm like feeling sparks that are like happening around me. So it was a very, very interesting experience to get that measurement. But it was very fascinating because I was the highest point that I was able to go to be able to pick up that information. But now, that arose another question in my mind that, okay, we are at higher altitude. Okay, we see that there's more energy. But now, is it only the altitude that is affecting the energy? Like if I go to a different spot and a different altitude, would I be able to get the same measurements? So that was my next question. So in order to answer that question, I had to get on a plane, and I had to ask some special permissions. And I have a lot of dear friends in dear places, so they gave me permission to fly at an altitude with running the bio wall and the Sputnik at the same altitude that I was at Machu Picchu, which I think it was around close to 17,000 or 12 to 17,000 feet. It was around that range. So we got to right around 15,000 range on the plane, and we started to measure to see and understand, okay, is this the altitude that's giving us the same information? And I was comparing to Machu Picchu, and I wanted to understand if the energy value that we're getting is going to be the same. So once I measured and I couldn't wait, I started analyzing it, and what I compared, I saw yes, that both areas give me the same energy value. Whether I was on a plane at high altitude or I was on top of Machu Picchu, I had the same exact energy value. So that gave me a lot of indications about altitude and how it influences energy. But now, what was interesting was that in Machu Picchu, the area deviation it was like a very stable and had a very low, like kind of like a steady area deviation. And when we're talking about area deviation, we're kind of like talking about the quality of the signal. So when I compared the area deviation to the plane, that it was completely a different signal. That on the plane, because of course you're traveling at this high speed and there's all this commotion that's happening, that we did not have a very low area deviation. The area deviation was very sporadic and very high. So that brought a lot of insight about elevation and the influence of elevation, um, and the importance of coherence of the signal in different areas. So that gave us, the understanding of, okay, it's not just altitude, but it's like the Machu Picchu. The reason that it was such a holy space was because of the environment there as well. That the environment was so coherent, was so like calm and peaceful, that they were able to maybe reach these high levels of communication. And we still don't know really what happened there. But that was a very, very interesting research there. I don't think it was as interesting as the research that we did with Dr. Krotkov in Egypt, because that was a 3-week research that we did, going through every single structure, every single sacred structure that was in Egypt. We had 3 weeks to go and to measure and to really understand, what's happening there. And that experience, I wish upon every single one of you, because like, truly, once in our lifetime, we have to go to Egypt and we have to visit the pyramids, because especially when I was there, they believed that all of us come from Egypt, and they believed that was like the center of Earth, and that was the point of initiation. So going there and doing a lot of research. I mean, we spent days of walking all around the space. And let me bring my I had a presentation. I was putting a presentation together, but I got a call from Dimitri that we don't have that much time. So I figured I'll just show my Instagram account with the different images that we have in different areas. So in Egypt, this was a trip that we did to Egypt, together with Dr. Krotkov, and that was some fascinating experience that we did there. Um, I want to jump ahead, but the research that we did there was, what we found out was in Saqqara. So we did our interest was the pyramids. We wanted to really understand, okay, what's happening within the pyramids, what's happening within the different chambers, and how are they actually influencing the energy of environments? Because I mean that is a space to understand and study pyramids, because there's so many of them there, and they're within a specific distances from each other, so that we could even like understand the correlation of the different pyramids, and the placement that they were placed on. So, I mean, once we got in there and started researching, what we realized was, at first, I mean, we had some idea, of course, everybody, is listening to all the research and everything that's been done. But what we realized there was that this is just completely different than anybody else that has talked about this place, because we got to specific areas, we had specific instruments with us, to measure electromagnetic field, to measure humidity, to measure altitude, and to, of course, to measure the information with the Sputnik. So what we realized that everything there was such a huge science behind like every single structure. Like all of these structures were like there was so much thought, there was so much architect, there was so much high level advanced science that we don't even have access to right now that was put into place that like these structures were simulating a living entity. That the way that they're communicating with each other, the way that like one of the pyramids had an area that they call that this is the lung of the pyramid. So it had a specific area within the respect to the different winds of the south and the east and the west, and it was this tiny little hole that was placed in this one chamber that the way that the air would go in there, it would make this specific noise and it would travel through, and that sound that it would make, they were telling us that it like vibrates the structure and turns into like so much energy within the system. So, and these were just like tiny little corners on different areas, and every single one of them was just so much science and so much like high level information that we don't have access to that right now. We went to an area that looked like it was like a airport, an airport, but it was circular. And on each side, from the west to the north to the east to the south, they had different gates, huge gates that was placed on top of this mountain. And the center was almost like a helicopter landing zone with a gigantic granite that was shaped in a pointed like a pointy edge that would there was like rectangular with a um, um, kind of like a pyramid on top, but then inside of the structure was hollow. So then people could actually go sit in there. And this was like in the center of this like a circular space, almost like a helicopter landing zone. And then around it in different areas around the mountain, you had these gates that the different types of energies would flow in. So I have a habit of whenever I get to these high level energy spots, I like to go and do a headstand because I love to put my crown chakra on that specific spot and make a connection to that area that helps me to pick up a lot of information. So once I went inside of one of these gates that was on one of the corners of this airport looking structure, as soon as I went to stand on my head, it was like this force that just came down and just pushed me down. Like I went halfway up and just like woof, I just came right back down. It's just like somebody was standing there and just like pushed me the opposite direction. So when that happened, I got up and I just started looking around, and I was feeling all of these energy. Like, they were just gates, like empty gates, but there was so much information flowing through from these gates. And at the center, I mean, this was a very powerful structure that they had like blown it up to pieces. Like I don't know how or what they had used in there, but like everything was like a bomb was dropped there, and everything was just like exploded to pieces. So you couldn't really make sense of the different piece of the puzzle, but it was just such a fascinating space that we believe that that was an area that they actually used to travel, out of space using different types of like wormhole or, creating different types of like almost like a Stargate to be able to travel through. So we measured this energy space there. We went to inside of the Giza pyramid. We went underneath the Giza pyramid that they just recently introduced all of these videos of the structure that is underneath Giza. So what they showed was the latest discovery was that where the Giza pyramid is, underneath of it, there's all these like the cylindrical, um, almost like columns. That is like there's like maybe 8 or 16 columns, huge columns that are holding up Giza. And underneath all of these columns is this area that was filled with water. So we were given permission to actually go through one of these the columns that, from what they showed on the video, it looked like they were like solid columns that is holding up the structure. But once we were in there, we were actually allowed to go inside of the columns, and there's stairs that is kind of very hard that you have to kind of like, crawl through. But you can go, it was close to 150 feet that we crawled, and we when there's this, tiny little like metal stairs that you could hold on to and go all the way down. And once we got to the bottom of that environment, there was a huge, gigantic granite stone that was there that looked like it's like a piece that was built to like maintain something. But then the size of this object was so humongous that like there's no way that they could have taken it down from these tiny little columns that like we crawled through to go down there. And this is like 150 to 200 feet like below Giza. So we measured information in those areas. We went to the Queen Chamber, we went to the King's Chamber, and we picked up information from there. So there was so many fascinating information that, and we had a group of 25 people that were traveling with us. So what we did was that we did a measurement of before going to these sacred structures, and then after coming back, we got everybody together in one session and we measured everybody again. And oh my God, like you should have seen the energy values like before and after people going to these sacred environments and coming back out. I mean, a lot of them right there, they would tell us that they have these things like energy that's moving through their bodies that they've never felt before. When we went to the King's Chamber, there was a very, very special ceremony that just happened out of nowhere. It was a private group for us to be in that room. And all of a sudden, they were doing Om meditations. But once the level of the Om is started to hit a specific frequency in the room, then it's like almost like a portal that opened there. And everybody had all different types of experiences of meeting with entities, of seeing the future, of seeing a lot of different things happening in that room, while we could get the Om to hit the specific frequency and using the power of resonance. So all of this information, I mean, you can't debate it, you can't doubt it, that how different sacred spots that have different types of energy have a direct influence on the human biofield and on the human energy field. And that's what I would hear when I was a child. And I grew up in Iran, in a place that there was a lot of like holistic healers. There's a lot of shamans and people that they believe in like spiritual healing. So when I was there, I would hear that like people that had different types of illnesses, that they would go to like a holy space that was in the mountains, that was I don't know, somehow somebody called it an holy energy spot, and they made a shrine there or something. And they would go and they would get like a chain. This is the craziest thing. They would get a chain and they would chain themselves to like a tree or to like a structure that was in that area, and they would spend like a couple of weeks, sometimes a week, 2 weeks, just staying in that same location and asking for healing. And a lot of these people would heal from all different types of issues, and they would return with all their illnesses being taken away from them. So as a child, like that never made sense to me. I'm like, how is that possible? How do you go chain yourself to a tree and like your issue that you have is going to go away? Like that just doesn't make any sense. But now that I'm doing this kind of research and having the blessings of having the Sputnik to be able to and the great work of Dimitri to be able to really see this powerful information in the environment. So I mean that's so fascinating to be able to get these insights. I mean, we're talking about these things like, oh, it's a Sputnik, it's like a little toy. But if you guys really sit there and think about what we're doing here and what information we're picking up here, guys, nobody has ever done this before. Like we are the first humans that is discovering this. Like if this is not exciting, like I don't know what is more exciting than this, to be able to research and to be able to discover and to be able to share this just beautiful reality in a different perspective and point of view with our brothers and sisters. Because people are so lost here, they come here and they take it for granted, I feel like. But if we can have this information that how we have this mother called Gaia that's here to heal, help us, and we can get connected to it, then that's so beautiful to me, and that's such a beautiful mission that that all of us are doing together. So That was a beautiful, beautiful experience in Giza, and one of the most powerful things that we figured out was in Saqqara. Like, that was an area that once we went there, like we were hitting all the different spots. We hit Saqqara, and I had all like equipments to like measure all these like different things, and a lot of them were working with Bluetooth. So once we hit Saqqara, it's like we hit a dead zone. As soon as we hit there, all of our Bluetooth equipment stopped functioning. So I couldn't even record with my voice. Like we had the video that we're recording, and I'm talking about, hey guys, we're here in Saqqara, and Dr. Kragov is measuring this and that, and we're playing it back. There's no voice. Like, there was no connection. We're trying to get we had the Mini with us that Dimitri was talking about earlier. Oh my God, it's so much easier to take the Mini around and do research with that one. So can't wait, just for that, for the ease of doing research. But the it was just so fascinating to be able to have the Mini and be able to just like hide it in the corner and like have a little something to be able to pick up the information there. That was great as well. So in Saqqara, what we realized was that there is this, and once we went under the ground, we went to these tunnels, that they were all these like, it was like a huge hall that was open. You would go down a hall, and there was like it was like a centerpiece that they had all these like different um, um, smaller hallways that were attached to this long hallway. And in every single one of these areas in these rooms, there was this gigantic structure that was, it looked like a tomb almost, but like a gigantic tomb that you would like bury like a giant in or something. And these tombs, they had this huge, and had a sacred geometry that they would come up, and they would have like steps that the tombs were, the tops were so heavy and so humongous, but most of them were like open. So it was this like a rectangular structure with this humongous granite top, but the tops weren't perfectly on the structure. They were all kind of like roughed to the side, and there was a little hole there that you could actually like maybe if they give you permission to go inside of these structures. So that was they wouldn't give us they wouldn't give us permission to go there. And we really wanted to go there. Like me and Dr. Krotkov, we got away from everybody. Everybody went to the museums and this and that. We're like, no, we're gonna go to Saqqara. So we took the entire day. We got up like crack of dawn. We went to Saqqara to be able to really, research, because the day before we couldn't pick up anything because, all the information was getting disconnected. So we came, we charged everything, we took wires. We're like, okay, this time we're gonna measure it. We go there, and there was this very cool tour guide that was there. We go down there, and we told him, we're like, come on, man, we're doing this research. Just imagine the information that we're picking up here. So I asked him, I was like, can I go inside one of these structures? He's like, oh no, that's forbidden, blah, blah. I'm like, we're researchers, let me go. He's like, all right, I'm not looking. I'm just gonna look that way. If you want, you can jump and go in there. So he looks the other way. I jump and go inside of this tomb. And oh my God, like once I went inside, it was such a huge energy inside of that structure. Like I was there, I felt like from every single part of the wall of inside of this structure that I was in, I was being pushed like inwards. It was like this like powerful energy that was almost like has this like crushing invisible force. So that was extremely powerful. Like I went in there almost like I couldn't think in there. Like with so much information, I felt like my brain waves are just getting like sporadic, and I'm not really able to like, maintain myself. So I quickly jumped back out, and I came back out. And once we went and we started to measure the information there again in those hallways, then something started to happen. Like we could pick up a little bit, and then it would drop. Pick up a little bit, it would drop. So after we put everything together, Dr. Krotkov's idea was that like this is a power generation like a tunnel that and he was thinking about it's more of like an antenna structure that is used for maybe communication with different entities. But after we started doing some research and some conversations, that we thought that maybe it could be like a source of power generation, that they could use these systems to generate this power, and they could direct the power in specific areas to be able to use it. So, and that could make absolute sense that, if there's an area that there's so much activity that's happening, like within that area that I was in, then that would like really disrupt any kind of a signal, Bluetooth or whatever that's happening there. So very, very fascinating way of generating power using sacred geometry and using the natural abilities and natural information that we have within our realm. So after Egypt, we wanted to go to Rapa Nui because Rapa Nui was another area that we thought that with all the huge gigantic structures that were there and every all the different information that we're hearing from different sources, we felt like nobody really had a solid idea of like what happened there. In Rapa Nui, once you go, there's all these gigantic structures that are called the boas. And these boas are the Rapa Nui is an island that's in the middle of the ocean. It's like the furthest um, non-civilized island that exists in our reality right now. So you have to fly to Peru, and then from Peru you have to get a 5 hour flight to go in the middle of the ocean, and it's just this tiny little island. It's really scary. Like if something happens there, the closest way to get out of there is a 5 hour flight. So once we went there, there's all of these structures that are around this tiny little island. They're structured all the way around the island and they're looking inward. Like I thought before going there, I thought maybe, this is like a protection. Like, how we talk about sacred geometry and these like, different statues how they have energy. And based on their, like the length of the head to the body to the limbs, like, all of this will create different types of frequencies and information. How that's how we say the human body is a sacred geometry because of the length of the head to the neck to the body. Like there is a correlation, and that correlation is what leads into power generation. So in here, once we started to research these boas, was super, super fascinating. That, people were saying that, oh, these were just like their gods or like things like that they would put to, offer prayers or things to. But what we realized is that the areas that these boas were placed on, there was no coincidence. That once we were measuring the information around these structures, there was so much more energy around these areas than anywhere else in the island that we're measuring. So like the way that they were placed are almost like placed on the ley lines of the energy fields. And like the way that was making sense to me at the time was that, these could be structures that are amplifying that energy within the ley lines to the environment, to the vicinities around them. And by giving them shape and by giving them different structures, and they could, it's like filtering that frequency that we already have access to in channeling it in a different way. So extremely, extremely interesting research that we did there, and it was some great findings there of because when you would go even to altitudes, you go like to in the middle of the island, there were these like mountains that are going up there, have a pretty high altitude, but you would still find these boas there that are buried within those areas. Let me see if I have one of those here. That's us here in front of the Sphinx. That was such an amazing moment right
Nima,
there.
we can't
We got
see,
to
we see only the text. We see the PhD. We don't see the photos.
okay. So let me stop my share and let's do a new share for you. I wish it was said sooner. This whole time I'm talking about all these videos. So this is what I was talking about Egypt. When we went to Egypt, we were measuring all the information there. This was in Rapa Nui. That's the boas that I was mentioning. These were all the different structures that they have all around the island that are facing inwards. So extremely, extremely fascinating research, and we'll love to repeat this. So Dr. Krotkov really loved this space. I would love for Dimitri to maybe join us on the next trip or anybody else that's interested to do a trip together to Rapa Nui. And it was like a untouched Hawaii. That the space was so beautiful, the food was so amazing and just simple, and the people were just, something else as well. So we'll definitely hoping to do that very soon. So While we're doing the Rapa Nui trip, there was these different areas that we went to that they were like there's all this like it was just like water boiling from the earth, and the temperature was so cold there that it would turn into all of these like smoke around this like huge areas. So that was a very interesting area to pick up a little bit of information there as well. You could see like all the when you look around here, you can see it a little bit nicer here. And there was just like this dance of how this information was just getting like fluctuating, and the way that it's just been shooting out with different like patterns and structures. And that's the mini that we're using right there, so you guys can get a little glimpse for it too, connecting it to the Sputnik. The only thing is we had to have a ground for it, because that's why you see that red wire that we're holding on to. That's to maintain the ground while we're doing the research, so we could pick up the data quick. And I have my drone there, so we picked up some really good footage here. We actually gave the footage to Gaia TV, and they did a documentary, not on this trip yet, but they did a documentary on our last trip when in Egypt. If you guys go to Gaia and do a search for Secrets of Saqqara, you can see that the full documentary with Dr. Krotkov that explains our entire research there. So highly recommend you to go watch that. And let's see some of the other research that we have done. This was the area. This is the funny video that we realized that I was measuring. This is around Saqqara, and I'm talking, but there was no voice being recorded. So me and Dr. Krotkov were sitting there like, what the heck? We spent all this time. We went there. There's no sound. Like, how are we going to use this? So we go there the next day. We try to do the same thing. I'm like, okay, let me just check, make sure we're getting sound here. And we replay it, no sound. So we realized we just can't record it because Bluetooth connection would get disrupted there. So that's something for you guys to notice if you're going to go there. This was me doing my infamous headstand right next to Giza on one of the structures there. That's I love to pick up a lot of information that way. When I do a headstand, that's what I did. Like when we are doing at the airport type of area that I was mentioning to you. This is a very powerful for me to connect with those areas. And we had a really awesome conversation there during the trip with um, Van Buren. He's he does a lot of research on the pyramids and the initiation civilizations. So it was great to have him there and pick up some information. There's Irina, our dear Irina. That's Dr. Krotkov's wife. It was such a pleasure to be with her during that trip, and she helped us with the whole process. She's such a sweetheart. So that was some of the research that we did in Egypt, and this is all the information that I have collected from here to include it into my dissertation that I was speaking to you about. So now, some of the other research that we did was with, and let me go back to my dissertation page here. So we talked about the Rapa Nui. Stonehenge was very fascinating as well. So once I got to, we're doing an event in London to introduce BioWell there, and we met some very, very amazing people there, including Rupert Sheldrake, that a lot of us know about his research on quantum biology. And we wanted to get a team to go to Stonehenge and do the research there to understand, my philosophy and my hypothesis was that, the Stonehenge was a similar type of situation that, that is a very high energy spot that they have erected these structures in a sacred geometry to be able to use that energy in order to amplify it for different reasons. So, but, that was just a hypothesis. We wanted to understand it. Is it actually that or not? So we traveled to the Stonehenge with a few of our BioWell practitioners in London, and we started to collect information around different areas around. We weren't able to actually go inside and walk inside, but we were able to. There was a circle that was around that was surrounding the area, so we were sitting around the circles in different spots and measuring information. So what was really powerful is that there was one stone that was a little bit away from the Stonehenge, and it was erected. It was, it's just like not as a part of the circle. It was kind of like a lonely stone. So when I went there, I saw some people that were like they looked like they were like the locals that, like they've been there all their lives. And I started paying attention to them. I was just sitting there. I was meditating at first. I wanted to see, just to kind of like get into sync with the environment. And once I got there, I realized that these people, they walk in and they don't stand still. What they do is that they walk around. They do circular motions around the structure, and then they would repeat it 7 times. After 7 times, then they would stand still, and then they would start like having this like conversation almost with the structures. So I was just like, what the heck is going on here? So there's this older lady that was, she looked like, I mean, she was so bright, and you should just see energy just like emitting from her. Like she looked like an angel. And like she was doing this. And she came, as soon as she get close to me, she kind of looked at me and gave me a smile. And I took that chance. And I was just like, oh, what a beautiful smile you have. Can I ask you a question? Like, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys walking around this place 7 times? And what she told me was like, oh wow, that's a very, very powerful of communicating with these sacred beings. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, how do you communicate with them? And what she told me was that once they walk 7 times around the structure, it's like they're waking up the structure to their frequency. And after the seventh time, I don't understand exactly. I'm researching that the number 7, but they said that after the 7th time, then they feel this. It's almost a friend or somebody that starts to communicate with them. And they were telling me that like they were doing this ever since they were children. That like that's like how they would come. It's a clockwise rotation, yes. So they were going to actually, when I'm thinking about it right now, I remember her walking counterclockwise. But to me right now, it makes more sense to be clockwise. So there has to be different reasons because, clockwise rotation, if, as a lot of you guys know, we're adding information to the system. Well, we do a counterclockwise rotation, then we are removing information from the system. So there is a whole science of communicating with structures. And this is one of the ways that they were telling me that they have learned as children of how to communicate with the sacred structures. And they told me that these are like their guides, that they all throughout their lives, like when they come and talk to them, all of a sudden, like somebody just shows up in their lives and they have no idea who they are and will help them with whatever question that was in their mind that they were trying to make sense of. So they were swearing by the healing power and the energies that the stones were emitting to that environment, and I could feel it. Especially there's one stone that I told you guys it was separated from the rest, but it was a bigger stone and it was a little bit higher. So I did measurements all around, but once I got in front of that stone and I did a measurement there, the measurement was almost twice as much as the rest of the areas around around the perimeter. And when people would come and stand in front of that stone, like they would tell me that, I could feel it myself. I would like all my, the hair on my arms would just like, like standing up. And like people would tell me that they feel that vibration. So another way of, another fact, another experience that, we can see how powerful our environment is. And by, tapping to these energies, we can really, really, bring powerful healing energies into ourselves, our communities, and our realities. The next research that I did was at the birthing stones in Hawaii. That was very fascinating to me. And that was done when I was doing some research on pain and how they were using in ancient times, they were using stones and structure to influence pain. So the birthing stones in Hawaii, that was one of the areas that was really that stood out to me. That the structure and the culture behind it was that in ancient times, the family of the royalties in Hawaii would go to these specific areas and they would birth on these stones without any pain, without any discomfort. So that was really fascinating to me. That how is that possible? How can a woman give birth on a stone without pain? So once I went there, something really fascinating happened. that I took the Sputnik, I took my laptop, I went there and I was placing the Sputnik on top of different stones just to measure the energy that's what was kind of like being emitted from them. And then I was measuring the energy around the perimeter. It was like one small area that there was in like random. There was like different stones that were just fallen. And this whole site was a sacred protected site by the Hawaiian authorities. So what I realized, and they wouldn't let me to go walk in and go really like into the perimeter of the area. I had to have special permissions and this and that. But before the guards were walk up to me and talk to me, I was able to quickly put my measurements and guys always do before you ask for permission, just so you can have a little bit of a data. If they come to you and be like, don't stop when they can't do it, at least you got a little bit of information. So that little bit of information that I got was so powerful to me because what happened was that I put the Sputnik and measured the information there. It was one of the stones that wasn't really related to this area. It was kind of like further out. And then I walked closer and I got to one of these stones that they were actually telling me that had those properties. So I put the Sputnik there, I measured that. And I put my laptop on the floor, like right next to it while I was doing this. So I pick up all this information and they came out and told me you can't measure, blah, blah, blah. So I closed my system. I already had like 3, 4 different measurements that I had done. So I come back, I sit there, I start compiling information, I'm looking at it. And I'm just trying to understand. I'm like, what the heck? Like, how is that possible? Like, I see that when I would put the Sputnik on top of the stones, you see energy with it. So like usually like in crystals or things that have their emitting energy, when we put the Sputnik on them, we can actually see higher like vibrations or maybe the intensity or area. There's something that will increase. But here I saw the complete opposite. And that was like, okay, why? Why is that? Why is there just different information here? And I'm looking at the data, I'm looking at everything. It wouldn't make sense to me. So I go to close my laptop. As soon as I go to close my laptop, I feel like there was something stuck and I wouldn't let my laptop close. So I go take a look, and if you look at your Macs are at the bottom of them where the power source goes, there's a magnetic area there. So it's like a magnet. So once I looked at it, I saw that around the magnet was filled with stones from that area. So then I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh my God, it's the magnetic field. So that was such a fascinating experience for me that, it was the magnetic field from these, and, they were like volcanic, rocks that were there for ages. But because of that magnetic information that they had, they were able to reduce pain and people would give birth on them without really experiencing anything. So that's definitely something that I feel like, all of us need to research that and see how we can help humanity with, natural factors like that. To just imagine a woman giving birth on a stone with, natural ways without any pain, that would be extremely powerful. So that was a research that was all of these information from, picking up from different areas around the world and putting them together. This is what really gave me that, grand understanding of like how environments really plays a powerful role in our reality, in our experience. But then I got introduced to an experience that we're doing with Gaia TV. And that was, I was invited to go to Gaia and do research on, there was a power of intention experiment with Lynn McTaggart that they were doing, it was a group of 300 people that they wanted to research to see how by getting a group together in one area and having them to meditate and to focus and concentrate their attention and intention to make change in a different area. So the experiment was we were in Boulder, Colorado, and we wanted to make a shift in Washington, D.C., where all the governments and like all these different entities and everything's there because of all the commotions that's been happening. So we wanted to bring more like coherent information, healing information to that area. And it was a very, very eye-opening experience. And every research that we do, like you should just walk into it as like a child, just trying to understand without any pretense of, okay, this is what's going to happen or that's what's going to happen, because you will always be surprised of what you pick up. So what happened there was that very fascinating, and what happened to the energy of the room. So once we're doing the research there, And the minute that we had everybody to take their attention and to take their focus and to place it onto a different location, then right in that specific moment, we experienced a huge energy drop in the area that we were. So I wish we had more sensors in Washington, D.C., because I wanted to see if we could actually show the exchange of energy. Because we say energy can neither be destroyed nor created, but we can change the shape or, form of energy from one, entity to another. So what I feel like happened was that it was this potential energy that we had in Colorado, and that potential energy was turned into a kinetic energy that was directed towards Washington, D.C. So we wanted to, at the time, I didn't have any sensors in Washington, D.C. to want to understand, okay, is this really, if the energy is going lower here, if the energy can neither be created nor destroyed, then what happened to that energy? Where did it go? And if we can see that energy now being higher in Washington, D.C., then that would be an amazing way to kind of like explain that. So I didn't have a chance on doing it in that session, but I wanted to redo that experience, and I wanted to try it out for ourselves to see if how can we make this happen. And we got invited to do a research for Quantum University, and they have a meditation, a virtual meditation room, which is called the Noosphere. And the research was that they wanted to understand if a group of people virtually get into this meditation room, and then if they're attendees from all around the world that are experiencing this remote session, then what's actually happening? How is their energy, their biofield getting influenced, and then how is the energy in the environment getting influenced? So that was a very fascinating research that I felt like that's what I need to really complete all of the experiments that I'm doing in order to finalize my dissertation. Because I'm no rush to want to finish my PhD. I mean, I love to study every day, and everything is a fascination to me. So, but I just wanted to have this full image of, okay, like what are we doing here? So after doing the research with them, we got and one of the things that's been very, very powerful to me is that I have been experiencing with doing, because what we're doing here, we're dealing with quantum physics, right? Biowell, we're measuring photons, biophotons, they're weightless, and because of their formation, they're a part of their quantum field. So what we're measuring quantum fields. And for a quantum field, the definition of entanglement and non-locality will definitely apply, since those are the characteristics of a quantum field. So what we're doing right now, this is quantum information. This is quantum information sharing. That I'm sitting in a different part of the world, you're sitting in a different part of the world, and we are using sound as a carrier of information that is going from one place to another place immediately without any time spent. This is a definition of non-locality, that we're exchanging information energy simultaneously in different areas of the world. So if this is possible the way we're doing it right now, then I have always, I mean, it has never been a doubt in my mind that we can scan people remotely as well. That if we are all energy, if we truly believe in oneness, that we're all one, then we should be able to tap into each other's energy. How does a mother tap into a child's energy when they're in danger? Because of the intensified entanglement that they have. And how does two twins that live in different part of the world share the same feelings? So these are all fields that is a part of our reality, and we have access to. So my research was to be able to prove this, that we are one, and the only thing that is separating us is our intention, is the power of intention and directing of that source energy. So we got a group of people. This was a group of 10 people that we got in different places around the world. And we ran a Sputnik in Hawaii, and we ran a Sputnik in Orlando to want to see the difference of what's happening within the meditation and the information that was being shared. So what I did during this experiment was that I was connecting myself as a surrogate with permission to 10 people, and I was doing it before the scan of their biofield, and then we invite everybody to came to this meditation group, and everybody did the meditation. We were part of the session, and then I connected them to again with their mission, and I collected their information again, and we did a before and after measurements and kind of like a data comparison. And once we sat with the people that will actually were part of the group, the 10 people that were not present, that I was scanning them using myself as a surrogate, that once we go through the information and we share the before and after of what happened and what they experienced, it was amazing. The accuracy of what they shared and the information that was presented in the system was just you can't doubt it. It is so accurate. It is so dead on. And I have been doing this research for close to 100 different subjects, all different parts of the world, with 99% accuracy. I mean, people are just blown away when you can actually tap into their system and help them understand about what they need to do actually to heal themselves. I'm super excited for the mini to come out and have that for people that we can't really, the level that we can have that kind of the connection with. But, we are the most powerful technology that exists. And if we learn how to advance ourselves, then we are able to connect. We are able to share information if we allow it. And that way we can help so many people. So that was part of my dissertation research, to do this and to be able to prove that actually we are able to measure energy remotely and influence environments energy remotely. And this was a very, very successful study that we did. And the correlation with the information that we picked up with what the participants shared was very powerful. And we took this study and wanted to replicate it on a different modality, which is this is a specific modality called MAP. MAP stands for Make Anything Possible. This is a method of rewiring and reprogramming the brain. So we took a group of 30 people in over 3 months, and we ran this research to see if we could remotely do a before scan of a MAP session of a person, walk him through the treatment, and then do another scan at the end of the session and actually show them what happened without having a bioable device present in their location. So I would be using myself again as a surrogate with my bioable device to create the connection and to do the study. And we have 30 people that are amazed. They are blown away with the information that we're sharing on each session, before and after, of every single specific emotions. Because the way that the session works is that they have to think about a specific emotion that is not serving them. And then we'll walk them through a 30-minute like a meditation and a guided, like almost like a hypnotherapy session, to be able to reprogram their system. So the information that we're sharing with people on the before of the emotions that we had no idea what is the emotion that they're picking up. That was completely private to them. We just had them pick up an emotion. But by looking at their biofield, I could exactly tell them what was that emotion that they were holding on to without them even having a conversation with us. And this is what blew people away, because you could see, you could tell, you could see the emotions in their biofield. Somebody that wasn't forgiven, you could see their heart start to like shoot out the minute that they started to think about that emotion. Like somewhere that like you normally don't see it on just when you're scanning regular people. When you haven't think about a specific emotion and then do a scan, something beautiful happens. Like we had a mother and a child, that we had a child that had a big connection to the mother, to start like thinking about the mom and sending love to the mom. And we started scanning the child. You can see a straight line from the heart of the child that starts to shoot out, come out like that, like something that like normally don't see it in biofield patterns. So people that had issues with people that were like betrayed in their lives, then as soon as they will think about that emotion, we'll see that their biofield on their back will completely disappear. And then they'll go through the session, and they'll go through the forgiveness, and then like after the session, when we scan and we see that the energy gets so much more coherent and comes like exactly around those areas. So this was so profound and so detailed that, I mean, we had so many of these map practitioners that came and bought BioWell now because they're like, this is powerful of what he can do, remotely with people now in different areas in the world where they don't have any access to any kind of help. So just to reiterate on the power of, the science and the technology that we're all sitting on and we're working on, and, how much we can help humanity with this information. So that was the gist of the pretty much the research that I did for my dissertation that I wanted to share with you guys. And this was something very, it's taken close to 8 to 10 years of my research of my life to be able to get to these understandings and really, see how we can help humanity, how we can help different people. Now, one thing that I just got introduced to is there is as I'm doing a lot of research for a lot of different companies on the biofield, then we're getting more and more interest from companies that they want to understand more about the autonomic nervous system, about the HRV, and they want to see like, okay, once we're making the shifts on the biofield, now how long does it actually last to manifest the physiological system? So I've always been researching. I've always been trying to see, okay, is there a way that we can make the connection from the biofield, from the energy body into the physiology? And blissfully, a few months back, I was in a research conference, and I was just sharing. I was talking about sharing about my ideas, and this after my conversation was over, this gentleman looked like a very like scientific person. He approached me and he asked me if I'm interested in working with them because they had a very high level biomedical grade medical research technologies and and they were really fascinated with the work that I was doing with BioWell. So they wanted to see if I'm interested in doing the research to connecting the energy body to the physical body and having that conversation. So I was, of course, very fascinated. I had a couple of meetings with them. And what I realized was that, wow, I mean, this is a huge, huge opportunity that, this company has been around since 1998 and they have over 44 million data points, assessment points. That they're a biomedical research company in Italy that all they do is research. And from the research that they do, and they create different systems and different types of reports from their technologies. And their technologies are focused on they are like holistic wellness technologies. They're focused on HRV. So they have a technology that can actually measure clinical HRV. And we can see all different variations of the autonomic nervous system. Because nowadays, there's a lot of conversation about the HRV, and everybody, is talking about, oh, have you measured HRV? Do you measure HRV when you do research? But when you ask them, like, what is HRV? Like, do you understand what HRV actually is? People really don't understand, like, what is HRV? They just, okay, it's a heart rate variability. But like, okay, well, what is that a characteristics of? So what this technology, that's the power of it, is that it gives us a full different information about the complete autonomic nervous system. Because HRV is just one factor of the autonomic nervous system. And then we have the SDNN, we have RMSSD, we have capillary permeability, we have like different types of cortisol bumps and levels that we can tell a lot of information about. So once I saw the level of the accuracy and the technologies are all, there's many, many different scientific reports that are published on PubMed. And these are all like, created with like over 20 to 30 different medical centers that they got like over 2,000 to 10,000 people together. And they did these types of research on. And what they showed me was the power of connecting that the shootouts that we see on the BioWell, that we are looking at overactivity in the system, to see now how can we tell if that overactivity has actually manifested to the physical system? Because right now we can see all chronic patterns, on the BioWell scan that it looks like the orange that goes underneath the biofield and it's kind of like more stuck to the physical body. But after understanding of how now we can work, especially when we look at the balance tab of BioWell and we see like if there's somebody that has a lot of fluctuations in there, then I wanted to always understand, okay, how do I bring this balance tab into that perfect norm? Like I would see a lot of different modalities that people do Reiki, people do, different types of modalities that like, if somebody goes into like a deep meditation, that they could achieve that to bring the balance tab into more of like, nothing being highlighted and more everything being kind of like on the same range. So what they introduced me to was I'm going to share my screen, and there's a few technologies that I have been doing a lot of research with right now that I see it as a very, very powerful complementary technologies to what we're doing with the BioWell. And I feel like connecting the two, we can help so many people. So if I go to my screen here, and do you guys see my screen there? So this is healthnrx.com is the name of the company. And this is the technologies that they have. The technology is called Biotecna. Biotecna is Italian medical biomedical research company. And this is one of the technologies that I'm obsessed with right now. So once I scan people on the bio wall and I see that they have a lot of fluctuations on their autonomic nervous system, then I bring them to the PPG. And what the PPG does is that there's two sensors that they get connected to our fingertips. And they're measuring blood flow, they're measuring oxygen level, and when people are, and it has a respiratory biofeedback. So then, it will has a graph that comes and it shows people exactly how to breathe. And it's a test for 5 minutes. As soon as they do the 5 minute test, then it shows us exactly if they have low level chronic inflammation in their system. And if they do have low level chronic inflammation, then it shows us exactly like what are and let me take you here to the website. I can show you their graphs. So the PPG stress flow is this technology over here, and this is what it looks like. It has two different sensors that we connect to the index fingers, and then the information that they give us. If I go to the report, so they give you a full information about the autonomic nervous system. So that when we scan people, and this graph right here was created after 44 million assessment points. That people that they did a lot of study on athletes and people that were in the hospitals that were about to die. So people that were at the top level of their autonomic nervous system, they would come into this purple zone here. And people that were about to die, they'll be around the yellow zone that's at the bottom. So now, as soon as I do the bio scan, I bring them on here. And if I scan them, they're in that purple zone, I know they're good. But usually most people are like in this box over here or around here. So then now, and of course, I'm looking at the bio wall, it gives me a lot of information that there's a lot of fluctuations on the balance. So if I have any pointers in the VLF, which is this first pointer here, then that tells me that the information that I see in the biowell is actually manifested to the physical system because this is a medical system and these are the inflammatory markers. And then it gives us information about the SDNN, which is the total power of the autonomic nervous system. And then the RMSSD, which is the level of the coherence of the HRV. So if you have the minimum should be 50 and 30. Usually people, when we scan them, they're like around like 40 or 20 or something, people that have inflammation that's manifested to their system. So then this will have a respiratory biofeedback that we can kind of like work with the person to regulate their autonomic nervous system. And I take them through this. It's about a 5 minute session. And then I take them back to BioWall and I scan them and I show them about their balance tab of how now we're able to more regulate the autonomic nervous system this way. Now, the people that have a little bit more issues, and see here, we get to look at the cortisol bump in here. People that have this bump that comes up here, that means that they have a healthy system. But a lot of people that have low-level chronic inflammation that maintains in their system, then this bump goes away, and it's like almost like the autonomic nervous system that's giving up on that issue because it's keeping on like triggering the system. If you don't pay attention to it, then it's just like we lose that bump and it starts to go straight down. So this is a powerful way now for us to look at the energy body, look at the autonomic nervous system, and really understand like who is the person that's in front of us to be able to help them in a very powerful way. And one more technology that they have that I have added as a part of our protocol now in Gaia Healers is that besides the PPG, as we're running this, they have a technology called the Regmatex. And what the Regmatex is pretty much a library of frequencies that it will get connected to, it has these sensors that will get connected to the wrists and will pick up the information from the system. And then it has two clips that connect to the ear lobes. So it's picking up data, it's thermal biofeedback, and then it starts to send frequencies towards the ear acupuncture points into the whatever that we want to pick. So usually when I go here, I go to the BioWell software, and then I go to let me show you guys here. Go to energy diagram and see the systems that are really shooting up really high, or the systems that are dipping, like liver here or like spine thorax zone. So then this other system, the Regmatex, has the frequency for every single one of these systems in their program. And these have been, it's a medical system. It's been collected from millions of data points from millions of people that they have tested. So then once I run it on here, it is game changing. I mean, it's becoming such a powerful experience for people that I work with. And one of the cases that I want to share with you today is this case right here. That this is a person that came to me. This was about a couple of weeks ago. That this was their biofield. As you can see, they have a lot of shootouts in their like throat, thyroid area. There's a lot of shootouts. This is on the liver, kidneys, urogenital system. Their spine is, not really flowing the right way. On the cerebellar zone, we see a drop. And then when you look at the top of the head, you see these like really defined shootouts that you can see that are shooting on top of the crown. And this is, more giving us information about their endocrine system. So pretty much a big mess. And, all the red dots here on the coronary vessels is, signifying a lot of pressure, a lot of stress in these systems. So I wanted to, she was one of the case studies that we wanted to see, okay, by looking at the biofield and looking at the information that we're getting from energy diagram here, look at these. The blind gut, huge shootout, liver, and she was diagnosed with a fatty liver. And when she came to me, she had really no control over her bowel movements. And the thyroid area, obviously, big shootout, jaws and teeth, there's a dip. And you see it, on all different areas. And we don't, it's not the best system that we want to have maintenance on. So now I want to compare this to, let's go back here. And this is one of the last scans that we did from her yesterday. I just want to show you the power of this system. Of course, if you look at the lifestyle, you can see the before, this is the orange ones. This is the after. We can see that improvement.
I think you have to share the screen.
Share the screen, please.
Nima.
My apologies. I thought I was sharing now. Let me see. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when you look at of course, when you look at the lifestyle, I mean, we can see that, the orange was the before and purple is the after. We can see that there's an improvement in most of the centers, but and the last scan that I did from her, she was very stressed out when she came in. There was something happened, like when she was driving to our office. So I can see why that was a little bit influenced, but huge changes in most of her systems. And when you go and look at the biofield, I mean, that is the crazy part. Look at all of this information here. See, we have all of this backup of energy that's, it's right around the coronary vessels. See all these red dots there. And this is 2 weeks later, using, really understanding the system, regulating the autonomic nervous system, and then hitting the areas that the BioWell shows that these areas are energetically not in coherence. And I mean, this is such a powerful way that we can help people now by looking at the information without manifestation and then going and using, electrodermal and using microcurrent to actually hit those specific areas and remove the blockages. She was in so much pain with us. So, you can see all these red dots here that now they're pretty much diminished. We don't have them there. If you look at the amount of energy that was there, there's so much overactivity. We don't have them anymore. Look at her hips. I mean, we have so many people now that they have hip issues because they're sitting down a lot. And she was in so much pain. Like when she came to me, as soon as she sat down on our first session, the first thing that she did was she crossed her legs over like this. Like she couldn't even sit still, like in a normal way. She had to cross her legs in such a like defined way that I was just like, oh my God, like are you okay? Like why are you sitting like that? And she's like, I'm in so much pain with my hips. And and that was when, she came to me and she's like, I have no bowel control. She's like, it's just crazy. Like I'm 60 years old and like I have no control. Like, this is like, it's so embarrassing. So I'm looking at her system. I'm like, of course, like, if you have so much energy that's backing up here, that's backing up all these areas. I mean, this is like the entire right around the root chakra and the sacral chakra that we're overactivating. We're adding so much energy in the system that everything around there, yeah, she's experiencing the pain in the hips, but now everything else that's around there is going to be influenced as well. So my plan of action for her was, okay, let's focus on the energy diagram, all the blind gut, liver, all these areas that are shooting out. Let's start working on those. And after each session, we do a bioable scan to show her exactly what happened. So she can see visually of the improvement of each session. And that will give her a lot of, powerful, like, kind of like, support so that she can continue to go through the sessions instead of being, oh, I'm not seeing anything or nothing's changing. So once after 2 weeks, I mean, I show her hips. I'm like, how does your hips? She's like, oh my God, my hips are so much better now. And there's a lot less pain in her system. But now she's feeling pain in her lower back. And if you see here now, this is like another point of blockage that's not allowing this energy to move. And now this is becoming the second point that we're starting to work with her now, to work on the cervical so that we can just get this energy moving. But besides all of those, I just want to show you once we go to a comparison view here, I just want to show you the improvements of the system. So if you look at the thyroid throat area, it was at 8 joules 2 weeks ago. Now look at her throat area. It's like 326. Now it's even like dropped a little bit more. If you look at her top of her crown, hypothalamus, 643. Now we are at 524. If you look at the epiphysis or the pineal, 682. Now we're at 468. If you look at her liver, and she said she had fatty liver, 960. That's a lot of information that was in her liver. Now look at the after. It's at 435. Like I've been dealing with a lot of different modalities over the last 10 years and testing and testing and testing. But what I'm seeing here is truly a game change. I mean, this is something that, and this is all done with a matter of like 15 to 20 minutes on this person. And we look at her kidneys. It's 1087 on the day before. It's like 340 now. And she was a little bit tired on the last day when I scanned her too. So look at her urogenital system. It was at 854. It went to 545. So look at the respiratory system. I mean, that's huge for women. 8 was the before. Now she's at 326. So a lot of this overactivity was, and if you just look at the biofield, you just see it for yourself of so much more in tune it is comparing to a couple of weeks ago. So this was kind of like, I wanted to bring all this information. This is all the work that I've been doing for, this last few years. And these are some really, really powerful results that I'm getting. So I wanted to share it with everybody. And I want to thank you so much for your attention. And if you guys have any questions, I would love to open the floor to see if I can answer anything based on what I've shared so far.